My husband texted me a picture from a pristine beach in Cancun. He was holding a margarita, and wrapped around his other arm was my best friend Chloe. The caption read, "I ran away with your best friend. We are never coming back, and we are using your black card to fund the life I actually deserve." I did not cry. I did not scream. I simply typed 2 words, "Good luck," and hit send. The next morning, he would find out exactly what happens when you try to steal from a forensic accountant. Before I dive into this absolute mess, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. Hit like and subscribe if you have ever had to stand up to people who completely underestimated your worth. I am Maya, and I am 32 years old. Let me set the scene for you. It was a typical Friday evening right here in this living room. I was walking across these hardwood floors holding a glass of Cabernet, looking out over the Atlanta skyline. As a Black woman who built a highly successful forensic accounting firm from the ground up, I finally felt like I had reached the pinnacle of my career. I investigate financial fraud for a living. I track hidden money from major corporations. My entire life is built on details, logic, and noticing the things other people try to hide. But somehow I missed the massive betrayal happening right under my own roof. My phone buzzed on this very coffee table. I picked it up expecting an email from a client. Instead, my screen lit up with that picture of Marcus and Chloe. Marcus was my husband of 4 years. He was a man who always seemed to resent the fact that I made more money than him. He constantly complained that my ambition was intimidating and called me a soulless machine because I worked long hours to maintain our lifestyle. Chloe was supposed to be my sister from another Meister. We met in college, and she was always the life of the party, the woman who never wanted to settle down or hold a steady job. She preferred to let other people fund her expensive tastes. I just never expected that the person funding her latest adventure would be my husband using my money. The text messages that followed the photo were dripping with audacity. Marcus laid it all out. He told me he was suffocating in my shadow. He said Chloe was a real woman who knew how to cater to a man's ego, and that they were currently sitting in a 5-star penthouse suite in Mexico. He bragged about taking my secondary platinum card and told me he planned to max it out as a sort of severance package for dealing with my cold personality. He literally typed the words, "We are going to bleed your accounts dry, Maya. You do not know how to enjoy your wealth, so we will do it for you." Most women would have completely lost their minds in that moment. They would have thrown their phone against the wall or collapsed onto the floor in tears. They would have called their mothers screaming about the injustice of it all. I did none of those things. I am a woman who dissects financial ruin for a living. Panic is a luxury I do not indulge in. I looked at the picture of them smiling on that sunny beach, and I felt my pulse steady. The initial shock evaporated in exactly 10 seconds, replaced by a terrifying crystal-clear focus. I sat down right here on this velvet sofa, crossed my legs, and took a very slow sip of my wine. I typed my 2-word response, "Good luck," and tossed the phone aside. Then I calmly opened my laptop. Marcus thought that because his name was authorized on one of my secondary cards, he had the keys to my kingdom. He drastically underestimated the architect of that kingdom. It took me exactly 3 minutes to completely dismantle his tropical fantasy. First, I logged into my secure banking portal. I navigated straight to the corporate credit management dashboard. With one swift click, I did not just freeze the platinum card he had stolen. I reported it as compromised in a fraudulent overseas transaction, completely destroying any chance of it being temporarily overridden or reactivated. Next, I accessed our joint checking account. There was roughly $15,000 sitting there meant for household expenses and his car payment. I transferred every single penny into a secure offshore holding account under my independent business name, leaving the available balance at absolute zero. But I was just getting started. Marcus had grabbed a backup passport, but he forgot that I was the one who managed all of our travel itineraries and security profiles. I pulled up the airline portal and permanently canceled his return flight to Atlanta. I logged into the resort booking system and canceled the penthouse reservation under my name, knowing full well the concierge would demand a new valid credit card by checkout time the next morning. Finally, I opened my smart home security application. I deleted his biometric access, wiped his thumbprint from the entry log, and changed the primary digital passcode to the front door. In less time than it takes to finish a glass of wine, my husband went from a high-rolling sugar daddy in Cancun to a man stranded in a foreign country with no cash, no credit, no return flight, and no home to return to. As the automated confirmation emails filled my inbox, I leaned back against these cushions and let out a quiet laugh. I thought about the sheer, unadulterated disrespect of this man. I met Marcus when he was drowning in student debt. I paid off his loans. I bought the luxury SUV he drove. I funded the lifestyle that allowed him to walk into country clubs like he owned the place. And his repayment was to sleep with my best friend and call me a machine. He wanted a woman who knew how to enjoy luxury, but he somehow forgot that I was the one who manufactured that luxury from thin air. He mistook my quiet discipline for weakness. He thought this was a simple game of a runaway husband draining a heartbroken wife's bank account. He thought he had played the ultimate trump card. But what Marcus did not know, what his fragile ego prevented him from ever realizing, was that the credit card was the absolute least of his problems. This affair was nothing but a minor inconvenience. The real disaster was what I had discovered exactly 1 month prior. I had spent the last 30 days meticulously auditing a series of hidden financial